Before we begin with our discussion, I'd like to ask muna, like this was the answer given by the group of Daniel, Dave, Saludares, Salarza, and then the rest of the group. I'd like to ask, what was the question, Gali? Para we can review. Sige daw, be. Can you please orient us, Dave? What was the question I gave during the last meeting? Can you please share to us? Dave, I think you are mute. Nakamute ata ikaw. Can you
Um,
remember?
ano sir, kato nagatag ka o unsa kitang question sir?
What was the instruction I gave the last ano gali?
Um, mag-create o Python program sir nga mag auto-identify sa grade if passbar kung unsa siya nabilong bitaw nga category sir A, B, C or
Okay. Sige. Thank you, Dave. So this is the answer of their group. Okay. So the instruction given was that I am to create a Python script that will identify what particular letter grade a particular grade belongs. Okay. So A, I think like that's 100 to 91, di ba? And then 90 to 81, I think is no, I think it's ano ba yung pangalawa yung sa B? Is it greater than or equal? Yeah. It's 90 to 86, I think. And then the other one then is 85 to 81. And then the last one dayon is D, which is 80 to 75. And then other than that, that would be what do you call this one? That would be E na dayon. Okay, so greater than 100, then that will be invalid grade. Okay, let's try to run if tatakbo ba ito. Please remember yung tinuro ko sa inyo na when you do gali control flow, there should really be an indentation, and then might as well provide the execution script, di ba? This one is the condition block. Ito, this is what we call the execution block. Okay, so please make sure na there's something in the execution block that will be executed once a particular criteria or condition is met. Okay, so let's try to run this one. Okay, for this example, yung pinakita niya is that it's letter D or letter grade na D. Diba? Let's try to see if it will answer, for example, if it's in 90 point, what do you call this one? 10. Ayan, so B. Tama ba? Yeah, that's B because it's still 90. What if we will go for 80.25? D. Bakit D? Sige daw. Bakit D yung lumabas sa 80.25? Tama ba hindi? Claudette, is it right or wrong? Hello?
Sir, sakto, sir.
Ako dili.
Sakto.
Okay, very good. That's right. It's because you have here the else if na condition block here states that if it's greater than or equal to 75, and then hindi siya magiging C, it's because yung condition ni C is that it's greater than or equal to 81. So 80.25, even if it's in floating na value, it will go to D. Okay? 100.01. That will be an invalid grade. That's a good one. So the rest of you guys, Saludares, Daniel, Claudette, sino pa nga yun? Yung nag-answer nito? Yung
Gwen,
assigned
sir.
Gwen, and then, yeah, Lulong,
Polinar.
Linar, Monredondo, and Salarza, you'll receive something from me sa oral recitation. Okay? So I'll add that one to your points as well. So thank you for taking the challenge. Now let's go to the next topic, which is actually yung topic na i-discuss ko sa inyo. It's not actually new on your end. It's just that I'm giving you a refresher course. Same lang din sa ano. But then we'll do the for loop for Python. Okay? So this one is kind of important because this will help you make your scripts more ano ba yung goal ng for loop. The goal of the for loop na paradigm is that for you to make all your tasks like routinary tasks or scripts into a single line command, di ba? Mas madali siya. Like for example, if you are trying to print 1,000 output, you can just do that one in just a single script. Okay, so let's try muna to understand the syntax of a for loop in Python before we dive in with the demonstration. Okay, so for Python na for loop, di ba, we remember, we for loop will be associated with the word iteration, or yung paulit-ulit, or the repeating patterns, or the repeating tasks being executed on a given script, di ba? Yan yung meaning sa ibig sabihin ng for loop. Now, for its syntax, actually, they only have two lang yun. Diba? This is what makes Python medyo closest to natural language. Because if you will try to read the script, you can, even if you have little to no knowledge in programming, medyo mas maiintindihan mo siya. Okay? So you have it here, yung my iterable bitaw, this one is actually a variable. So they only need a variable that will hold values. Okay? Yan yung first condition niya. They need variable that will be the reference kung ilang iteration yung gagawin niya. And then they need to have a temporary variable that will hold anything that they can get from that variable. So for this particular syntax, if you notice, yung variable niya is si my iterable. Okay? Iterable. Yan yung pagkaka-pronounce. And then, yung temporary variable naman is what you call the item name. Okay? So you can use other variable names for this item name. You can have ABC, letter, kayo nang bahala. Basta this one will hold the temporary values for a while, and then that's the time you can execute it na dayon. That's why you have the print item name here. Okay? So again, yung kinakailangan lang ni for loop sa Python is that a variable that holds a particular value, yan yung magiging reference niya, kung ano yung i-iterate niya or i-repeat niya, whether it be the number of items on that particular variable or the items itself yung ipapalabas niya. Okay? You also have the second one, which is yung temporary variable that will hold temporarily the value before niya i-execute or gagamitin sa execution block. Okay? So, yung mga nandito, can you look at the screen? Yung my iterable, yung mga values na nandito, will be passed to the item name and then will be executed here. Okay? So this one will become the reference, this one will hold, and then this part here will execute na dayon. Okay? Yan yung syntax ni Python sa for loop. Now, that's why if you will try to run this one, yung lalabas is 1, 2, 3. Okay? As simple as that. Another thing you need to remember is yung colon. Okay? Don't forget na you have a colon to put after the last letter or the last character in your for loop. Because that will tell na dayon nga, okay, the next part will be the execution block na dayon. Notice as well na in the execution block, meron tayong tinatawag na white space or indentation. Okay? So that would really signify na all of the indented part or the indented blocks or indented execution block is part of that particular for loop na script. Okay? So anything outside that indentation will be considered as outside of the for loop na dayon. Okay? So I'll be demonstrating that one, and then I need you to give or ask questions if you are quite confused. Okay? Okay, let's have muna this one. Okay. So for example, ito. Can we make this one bigger? Klaro, medyo maklaro na ba? Ako nang gidako-dako. Kaya mo nang comment sa last na section. Medyo gamay daw sa screen daw. Maybe they're using, what do you call this one? Mobile phones. Okay. So for example, we have a list. Okay. And then you will have, for example, values up until to, like for example, 10. Okay. Yeah, 7, 8, 9, tapos 10. Okay. And then, for example, you would want them to, or you would want to display all of the values inside the list, di ba? The manual way is that you can have them using index, di ba? For example, you can have it printed, di ba? Tapos, tawagin mo lang yung index niya. For example, my list 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Di ba? But the purpose of for loop is that for you to do it in a more simpler way. Diba? More nagali simpler pag yun. Okay, so whenever you do the for loop, you need first the variable, okay? This one is the reference variable na din nato, okay? Okay? And then, for example, you have num, okay? And you have in my list. Ayan. So num here will be our temporary variable. Okay? So this one will hold all the values na makakuha niya sa my list, and then it will use it in the execution block. Okay? For example, print natin dito si num. Okay. Now, if you notice here, di ba? The values inside that particular variable was printed. Instead without having it printed like ikanapulo or in 10 times, you can just have it in simple na dalawang script na lang or dalawang lines ng script. The for loop or the condition script, and then the second one then is the execution one. Okay? So the answer is 1 up until to 10, and then if you notice, by default, automatic na si Python, di ba? In Java programming, kay we need to also declare a next line. Para bitaw mo next line siya. So si Python already automated that one, or by default, ginawa na niyang, kumbaga, default na format presentation na every time mag-loop is that you can have it in the next line na dayon. Okay? Yan yung ano niya. Like one major difference between Python and then other programming languages. Like by default, nilalagyan na niya ng next line, okay, automatically. Another thing you need to remember is that in Python, di ba, we have here the execution block. So in the execution block, actually, you can also do the, ang tawag dito, the control flow. Look, for example, I can have here a control flow identifying whether a number is an even or an odd number. Okay? So for example, if num is modulo 2, di ba? For example, if the answer is 0, we know already na this one is an even number. Okay, try natin. I think I can do the F string na lang siguro, no? Can I have the F string? Num na lang, okay? Yan. So for example, ito, di ba? This part here, I am executing a particular control flow, di ba? Hindi lang siya, kumbaga, limited to printing only. You can also do control flow inside the loop. Like for example, if the value coming from the temporary variable is has a kumbaga in modulo 2 tapos wala siyang remainder, automatically ipiprint niya. Pero pag hindi niya ipiprint, okay? Now, if you notice, since 2, 4, 6, 8, and 10 is divisible by 2, di ba? If that particular number is divisible by 2 and then doesn't have any remainder, that is an even number. That's why yung pinapakita dito is that you only have 2, 4, 6, 8, and then 10. Okay? Now, aside from that one, you can also incorporate, nalagyan mo ng else para there is a representation kung ano yung mga odd numbers. Okay? For example, gamit tayo ng F string. Odd. This number is odd. Ayan. Okay? Tapos lagyan natin ng num. Now, if you notice here, di ba? Look at this one. I created an if statement that will identify if the number is divisible by 2. Okay, so that would mean it will single-handedly print na lang dayon na like the number itself. But if hindi siya divisible by 2, it will automatically go to this particular block and then it will present this particular printout statement na this number is odd together with the concatenated value. Okay? That's why yung answer dito is that, for example, so bakit daw na si 1? Di ba kanina 2? It's because sa for loop, everything will be evaluated. Okay? So si 1, na-evaluate niya. So, since kanina, pag tinanggal ko to, walang lalagyan o walang pupuntahan si 1. That's why it's not printed. But with this particular implementation, si 1 is being evaluated tapos meron siyang pupuntahan. That's why when you run this one, meron siyang lalabas na this number is odd. You have 1, 3, 5, 7, 9. The rest ng numbers dayon is even numbers. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Okay? Is that clear? Did I thumbs up if it's clear? Okay, 'di ba it's quite simple for the for loop na to sa ano. But don't judge yet kasi meron pa tayong ilan pa ba? I think we have 7 pa na demonstration. Okay? So again, it's not only limited to printing, you can even do the control flow inside the loop. Another one is that 'di ba ito yung usual na uh, pinapagawa sa atin during our programming 1 and 2. Like for example, gusto natin or we were requested na kindly count daw or kindly sum up. Like for example, you were tasked to add all of the numbers, di ba? Since the variable is in integer man na data type or number data type, the client would want to know whether kung ano yung sum ng mga given values na to, di ba? Yan yung mga common programming what they call this one, programming problems na binibigay sa atin. Now to do that one, do not worry because you can do also that one in Python, okay? Like yung tinatawag natin na counter or yung summation. So to execute summation, you can just have, like, for example, list sum is equals to 0. Initially, it's 0. Tapos loop natin na same lang din in my list, di ba? Then let's try to do the summation. So obviously, yung summation, it's just something like list underscore sum is equals to list underscore sum plus the number na yun. Okay? Diba? Am I right? I think I'm right. Okay. And then, labas natin. Yes po. Kindly leave it in my table na lang dito. Thank you. Then you have it here, print. Tapos, print natin si num. Tama ba? Ano? Si list sum, sorry. Okay. So again, yung goal natin is that we will try to add all of the numbers here. So to do that one, we initialize a variable that will hold temporarily the initial values until such time na matapos yung loop. Okay? So you have here list underscore sum, which is 0. So if you will try to run this one manually, yung mangyayari is that you have, di ba, initially si list sum is 0 man, di ba? Equals 0 plus 1, yung answer dayon is 1. Okay? Now, the second loop na naman kasi meron siyang second value. Di ba? You have 1 is equals to 1 plus 2. That's why the answer dayon is 3. Okay? Look what will happen na. By the way, I put here, lagay ko muna dito. I put it here para we can see the process. Okay? Di ba? So if you notice, it was able to do the summation, like it was able to carry the previous values of the sum, and then it got to the last answer, which is 55. Sir, pero yung tanong lang sa atin is to add only and then do not show the process. So to do that one is that you remove this print here and then have it on, not on the indented part, or tanggalin mo yung indentation. Okay? And then automatically it will give you 55. Okay? So again, remember, yung purpose ng indentation will signify na this part here is part of the for loop pa. That's why yung lumalabas is yung process. If you would want naman to show only the, what you call this one, the final output, you just remove the indentation. And then you'll be given with 55. Usually, yung ginagawa ko is that I put a separate line para I will know na hindi talaga siya kasali. Okay? So that's how you do it. So you might be wondering, sir, ba't naging 55? So kung gusto mo ulit makita yung process, ayan. Diba? So on and then so forth na din siya dayon. So, yung muna padayon, you'll have 3 is equals to 3 plus, ano ba? 3. That's why, yung next na output is 6. Nakita niyo na ba? Okay, parang pagid. Last na lang yun, sir. Okay. 6 is equals to 6 plus 4. That's why the answer is 10. Diba? 1, 3, 6, 10. So, palay na siya dayon. Okay? Kamu na bala pa dayon, Dana. Okay. I hope that's clear on your end. Another thing that you need to remember is that you can even have, what do you call this one? You can even, it's not only by the ano, it's not only na sa numbers lang applicable si for loop in Python. You can even have it in string. Okay? So for example, for num1 in my string. Example lang ito ha. Look what will happen. Okay. If you notice, I declared here a, ano ba? I declared here a string with a value na hello world. Diba? And then, ito yung one implementation that will signify na it's not only numbers na pwedeng gamitin sa looping in Python. You can also do that one in strings. So yung ginagawa dito is that same lang din sa ginagawa sa numerical values is that it's each value is being evaluated. Okay? Each value of, or yung pagkakaiba lang nila is that they will not look at the, ang tawag dito, they will not look at the string as a whole, kumbaga. They will have it evaluated per character. Okay? That's why you have it here, hello, di ba? Naka-next line na agad. Tapos, even the white space is being counted. Okay? If you will try to do this one, bitaw, like imo siyang ipa-check kung ilan yung, what you call this one, ilan yung laman niya, or you will use len, for example, you'll have 11. So that would mean na 11 times niyang na-loop, or you have, 11 times for the looping, that 11 times did the loop happen para mailabas itong hello world, okay? Including the white space. Okay? Nakuha ba? Yung basics ng looping sa Python, did you understand it, guys? Hello? Thumbs up, Dobby. Can you please give me a thumbs up if nakaya ba? Or medyo ano ba siya? Thumbs up, Dobby. Ayan, sige. How about the others? Take thumbs up ang uban lagi, guys. Okay, good, di ba? It's quite simple. Now, another thing na you can do in Python na hindi bitaw ginagawa sa ibang programming languages is that they have what you call unpacking. Okay, so unpacking is actually a, para din siyang indexing and slicing, but then in a manner of using tuples and then dictionaries. Okay, so paano ba ginagawa si unpacking? So let's try muna to review yung si tuples. Okay, so si tuples is that it's what you call this one, it's declared using the same naming variable notation, but then yung mga values niya are enclosed in parentheses. Okay, something like that. And then if you would want them to be like used in a looping na script, simple lang din. It's just the same. Yun nga lang, look what will happen now. It's still the same actually. Diba? Now, yung pagkakaiba lang nila is that when you do the unpacking, for example, sir, what if lugar if you will try to access this one, diba? So para mas madali siyang maintindihan, I'll have it, like let's have or let's put a list or let's declare a list using, and then yung values niya is tuples. Para you will really appreciate the values of unpacking. Kasi pag ito, you can just have it man yun na so yun nagali, like index man. But in unpacking, may iba siyang way, okay? Let's have this one then. My list 0 to or 2 na lang siguro. So for example, gawa ko ng list tapos, 'di ba, ito yung sinasabi ko na in Python, you can have na yung isang data type, yung value niya is another data type. So dito, I've declared a list but then yung values niya is in tuples. So 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, tapos 7, tapos 8. Okay? Now, if you will try to normally do a looping on this one, same lang din. Okay? Hindi walang changes. Okay? Tapos print natin si item. Tama ba? Ayan. If you notice, pag ito yung nangyayari is that yung ipiprint niya is based lang din sa kung ano yung whatever you have given here, di ba? So since it's presented man in tuples, that's why they are in pairs, di ba? So can we have more than 3 or more than 2? Pwede, later na. But for example, if you were requested by your client na, I only need the first index of each tuple. So what you will do is something like this one. The first thing that you need to do is to mimic the way the values are being presented. So if you notice, the values are presented in twos, di ba? So pwede ito, palitan mo ng by twos din. For example, 1 tapos 2. Okay? So these are variables that is somewhat like similar. If you notice the syntax or the way they are presented, it's the same, di ba? Like 1 is for the first value, 2 naman is for the second value. So if gusto lang ng client mong makita yung mga value na nasa first value of the tuple, you can just get it using this one. Diba? Nakita nyo? Diba? So again, always identify the pattern or the syntax of the values whenever you would want to do unpacking para alam mo kung ano yung dapat mong i-include. Okay? You can even have this one in 2. Diba? So what if naman if by 3? For example, ito by 3 ha. So 3, lagyan natin dito 8. 9 pala, sorry. 9, tapos dito is 10. Sorry. Tapos dito is 11, tapos dito is 12. Okay. Now, if I will run this one, I will get an error. Bakit? It's because I made some changes and I did not run this one. So to do that one, run ko muna ito para it will be updated. Okay? Make sure, again na, kanina, I added 4 values, di ba, on the list. You run this one again kasi it will not take effect on your next scripts na yun. Yan yung mali namin the other day. Like we were, like even to 2C, they were confused bakit nag-error siya, wala namang mali. Okay? So again, so if you are presented with this kind of value representation or display, yung magiging formula, yung magiging format ng script mo in Python sa for loop is mag-iiba din. Di ba kanina dalawang values lang yun. Ngayon you have 3. So you can have, for example, 1, 2, and then 3. Okay? And then if you would want to get only the 3 or the third value, yan. Nakuha ba? Hello? Nakuha ba? Nakuha sa Dani ba? Nakuha ba? Thumbs up daw, ba? Yan, medyo simple sa, di ba? Okay, another thing to remember is that in other bitaw, in other activities or in other implementation, yung ginagawa nila is they put this one in parentheses. But it's not a requirement, masad. Like, it's not required. It's still the same. Yung iba lang is that they put parentheses para mas madali siyang basahin. Okay? Next, ano pa ba? Another unpacking na pwedeng gawin sa looping is yung sa dictionary. Okay? So sa dictionary lang is that yung pagkakaiba is that you will be using methods. Kasi dalawang values naman siya. Okay? Like this one, if you notice, sa tuples man yun, they are 3 values but then they are of the same. Like they are values lang talaga. Diba? They are to be manipulated, they are to be used and processed. But in dictionary, meron tayong dalawang values. It's what you call keys and then the other one is values. So that's why you will need methods to access them. So for example, D is equivalent, D means dictionary. Diba? Si tuples is in parentheses, si dictionary naman is in curly braces. So for example, key number 1 is equivalent to 1. Example lang ito guys Key number 2 is 2. And then you have K number 3 is you have 3. Okay? Now, if you will try to run this one, ay, wait lang. Yeah, walang error. Okay siya. Now, if you will try to access this one, you need to ano muna, like you need to identify, di ba? For example, hindi mo alam kung ano yung format, ay, alam mo naman kung ano yung format. Yun nga lang, you need to remember na again, ito, it's not a value. Okay, hindi ito na ma-manipulate or it cannot be part of a particular computation. It's only for reference lang itong K1, K2, K3. So yung values talaga is yung 1, 2, at saka sa 3. So if gagawa ka ng loop using those things, you need to remember again to replicate or mimic the way these particular dictionaries are presented. So by twos man sila. So you can have keys and then values. Okay. Tapos, in dictionary.items. Okay? Then we'll try to print lang, for example, the keys. Okay. Yan. Diba? So what if naman, if gusto ko pa lahat sila ipakita? Sige, go. Walang problema. Ayan. But if you would want, or if your client would indicate na, just give me lang all of the values. Okay. So you need to mimic muna the way it's presented. Okay? That's why it's values. Please remember, kasi ito yung medyo, when I was debugging it, like I was doing my refresher for this particular unpacking, I always got this error. Please remember na this part here is dapat meron talaga siyang ganito. Look what happens. Diba? Hindi niya kayang basahin. It cannot be considered as an object. Okay? If wala siyang ganyan. Nakuha ba? So please make sure na this one is, you include this particular code. And then, another thing, yung sa activity ko sa ibang section, for example, ito for example, ito. I don't know if if it works, but it's still the same, man. It's okay. Whenever you access the day, okay na siya, guys. It's still okay. Di? Ano nga ulit yung problema doon, di? Merong na-encounter si other section na problem, na it's a problem in format or capitalization. Please make sure, ayan na, ito pala. So the way bitaw you name your variable, again this one is not the same with this one. Ito pala yung error na encounter nila. Like they were trying to call the variable but then naka-uppercase. That's why you have errors something like this one. So please remember na si Python is case sensitive. Okay? Sige. That's for the looping. Now I'd like to ask a question. If you will try to if you will try to review the things na ginagawa natin sa looping, what's the major difference man compared doon sa ating na experience in Java? Sige daw, who can share their thoughts? Ano yung medyo pagkakaiba nila? Or in general, ano yung, sige daw, I'll ask muna everyone. In terms of the looping implementation, sino yung mas madali, si Python or si Java? Write your answers daw in the in-call messages. Sige daw. Sino yung mas madali, si Python or si Java? You can write your answer in the in-call messages. Ba't walang answer yung iba? Python daw, sige. Good. Dalawa lang yung answer na nakikita ko. Okay, very good. Of course, I don't discredit Java. Ha? Okay. Of course, we cannot appreciate what you call this one. We cannot appreciate Python if we haven't done Java. Now, another question. Another question na I'd like to ask your opinion. What are the differences in terms of implementation na nakikita natin? Ano yung major difference nila? Sige daw, be? Who can tell me? Like, ano sa'yo nakita ninyo na lahi, kumbaga? In Java. May rag code, sir. Diba? That's given. What else? Claudette, ano pa? You know, I'm looking for one specific answer and I don't know if merong maka-remember. Diba? You go back again to your Java programming. Okay, Claudette, what's your answer? Can you hear Claudette? I can't hear you clearly.
Ang kuan sir, ang Python sir kay iyang pag-code is by line. Tapos
Byline.
ang
Byline mangyapon sa
byline.
Byline mangyapon si Java. Sa pagdin yung lain nga maano. What can you still remember in Java na medyo like you can say nga it's really different good in Python. Sige daw. Sige daw din. Harold, ano yung mga pagkakaiba ni Java at ni Python? Sige daw, be. What did you notice?
Kuan sir, Python sir. Tabo-tabo ra sir. Medyo ma,
Tabo-tabo na daw
ma
ko mo.
dili siya nga sabot-tabo ay kanang
Ilaw be.
dili ko.
Okay,
Ang kuan mo ko sir, ang Java is daghan pa
easy
kayo
one.
imo i-analyze ba nga pang tawagon ni mga ano siya?
Okay, so I'll grab that answer na gyatag ni Harold. Can you still remember na in Java you do something like this one? Example lang ito ha. Ito gani. Example lang ito ha. I don't know if you could still remember. Tama ba yung ginagawa ko dito? Remember this one? Di ba? Hello?
Yes, sir.
In Java, you will do something like this one just to the looping na dayon. Am I right? 'Di ba? Ito yung mga usual na ginagamit natin uh in Java. Now, yung natin is that 'di ba the way it's being presented in Java is that you need to have a same lang din naman. Yung reference natin, you have the condition block and then this one dayon is the iteration. This will indicate the iteration. But if you try to compare that one in Python, look at how it's being improved na dayon, di ba? You don't need to do an iteration. You don't need to, what do you call this one? You don't need to include other symbols, di ba? You can just do indentation. You can even do a context flow. Same lang din naman. May context flow lang din si Java. But then the way it's being presented, it's medyo mas, siya, if I am to give my 2 coins for the implementation, si Java, if you are too technical, okay siya. Okay? But if you would want to really like if you would want to go easy with your for looping or your looping na knowledge, you can go to Python kasi mas madali siyang basahin, di ba? So that's it, guys. I think I do hope you've learned something new for today. Let's all remember, again review ko muna before I will dismiss you. Let's all remember na in Python, for looping, you have what you call the reference, the variable reference, and then you have the temporary variable that will hold the values coming from the reference variable. And then when you do you also have this one is the condition block. This one naman is the execution block. Let's all remember na hindi lang printing yung kayang gawin sa execution block, pwede ka ding mag-implement ng control flow as presented here. Another thing to remember as well is that you can even do counters or summation or other processes that involves number in looping. Okay? Just like what you learned in Java. Now, also remember na in looping or in for loops sa Python, they also adhere or they also, what do you call this one? Support string looping. Okay? Ayan. They can also use, aside from numerical values, they can even do strings. Okay? They also have what you call tuple unpacking, which can be facilitated using for loop. Okay? Remember, na same lang din sila. Tuples can be accessed using their indexes then. And then you can even have them what do you call this one? Accessed using their certain values. Okay? Kagaya sa ginawa natin dito. Okay? Now, when you do the unpacking, like single value display, please remember to follow or replicate or mimic the format of the values. Mimic means you need to have you need to have an equal number of values. For example, sa values is tatlo siya, so dapat yung temporary variables din dito is tatlo din. Okay? That will help them in getting or accessing the values in the tuples. And then when you print, you can just call na lang dayon the specific variable. Okay? Another as well is that you can even use unpacking in dictionaries. Just make sure lang to again have the keys and values declared as temporary values, and then ano pa ba? Make sure to include this open parenthesis symbol or the method symbol in items because it will give you an error pag wala ito. Okay? Kung may question, you can ask right now. Kung wala, give me a thumbs up. Okay, but that's quite simple. I made it quite simple today. For next week, I'll have the last topic next week before I will give the midterm examination. So kindly, ano muna, kindly review. Okay? Sige. So, can I request everyone muna to please turn on your camera for our, wait lang, I think I did, yeah, yan. Please turn on your camera for our documentation. Sige daw, be. I can see Randolph, I can see Irish, Rio, Maria. How about the others? I can see Harold, I can see Mark, Gwen. Pero gula pagaling mo yung klase, pero bago pa na mata si Irish. Okay. In the count of 3, I need you to smile, guys. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, thank you guys for joining me today. I'll see you all next week for our discussion. Bye-bye.
Bye,
Thank you,
sir.
sir.
Bye,
Bye,
sir.
sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.